Yo, 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 what's up? Hey, we got a full house tonight over on the Glimmer cast. We got very special guests from the Amigo community who are also big 80s music heads. We got the homie Mad Max in the house. We got Dayzed Gaming. We got Ramblin Man. And we got Gen X Gamer. What's up, y'all?
Great.
Hello, Aaron.
What's up, everybody?
Yes, this is so cool. I have all of you on camera at the same time on my channel, so I'm like stoked and honored for sure. But yeah, like tonight's topic is favorite 80s movie soundtracks, which came from our friend Ramblin, who suggested the topic to kind of narrow down the conversation, because just talking about 80s music, we'll be here for like days and years, basically. But yeah, cool. So just like a little bit of like my history, I'm probably the youngest person here on the panel. So what do I know about 80s music? I wasn't even born then. And I barely even remember 90s music, but I discovered 80s music like into like my teenage years. Like my favorite band is the Smiths. And that sort of like catapulted me into like discovering more like college rock, alternative rock, post-punk, indie, and so on and so forth. And then I was fortunate enough to like, you know, be around during like the MySpace era and like when internet was taking off and music discovery became a lot easier. So I was really fortunate to like, you know, have all the legwork done already for like, you know, playlists and music suggestions and things like that on the internet to go from. But yeah, I wanted to jump over to Mad Max. So you could give us a heads up on, you know, your passion for like 80s music and what some of your favorite genres are and stuff like that.
Oh, I definitely I'm always Max movies, so I love 80s movies. Have great soundtracks. Breakfast Club. We have even Batman. The original Batman had Prince in it.
Yes.
Back to the Future had some of that Huey Lewis. Even Top Gun. I don't know. There's so many. Beverly Hills Cop. I love all of it. Oh, I'm getting an echo. I don't know. There's so many. Beverly Hills Cop.
The stream started for you.
I love all of it. Oh, I'm getting an echo. Oh my God.
The stream started for you.
Whoa.
Can someone mute and kind of isolate the audio?
Could it be?
Can someone mute and kind of isolate the audio?
It's not me.
Okay, it stopped. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's hop over to Dayzed. Thank you so much for joining the panel. And yeah, let's hear a little bit about some of your 80s music. Yeah, let's hop over to Dayzed. Thank you so much for joining the panel. And yeah, let's hear a little bit about some of your 80s music.
Let me make sure. I'll mute me and make sure it's not me.
Thank you so much. I wonder if that's me.
Is it me?
This is haunting. Okay, sorry. I'm really cautious about if it's going to start up again.
Yeah.
Okay, assuming it will. I'm really cautious about if it's going to start up again.
Yeah.
Okay, assuming it will. I'm really cautious about if it's going to start up again. Okay.
That's crazy. I don't know. I have earbuds in. I can't hear. I mean, I don't have my speakers on, so it can't be me.
Yeah, that is super weird. I'm also just checking my tabs right now to see if I have the video playing.
It's definitely not me.
Yeah, that is super weird. I'm also just checking my tabs right now to see if I have the video playing.
It's definitely not me.
Yeah, that is super weird. I'm also just checking my tabs right now to see if I have the video playing.
It's definitely not me.
Yeah, that is super weird. I'm also just checking my tabs right now to see if I have the
Yeah, it's not me. I
video
was
playing.
muted.
It's definitely not me.
Yeah, that is super weird. I'm also just checking my tabs right now to see if I have the
It's not me.
video playing. I'm gonna. Okay. Looks like Ellen dropped from the chat. Yeah, I'm really sorry about the audio issues there. I'm just gonna like give it a few seconds to see if it starts back up.
Yeah, I only have audio coming through my earbuds.
Yeah, I only hear the audio.
Connection.
I'm afraid to unmute.
I think it's Ramblin Man. I think it's Ramblin Man. He's been gone. And it's not happening.
Hey, Alan.
Afraid to unmute.
I think it's Ramblin Man. I think it's Ramblin Man. He's been gone. And it's not happening.
Hey, Alan.
Afraid to unmute.
I think it's Ramblin Man. I think it's Ramblin Man. He's been gone. And it's not happening. This is what happens when you bring old men onto your stream.
I'm the one boomering because I can't isolate the sound.
I'm back and it's happening again.
Oh, I'm really
You
sorry
have your
about that.
speakers on?
He must have a tab open or something. Yeah, because whenever you're looking at the chat, you can only look through StreamYard if someone wants to give him a heads up. Because if you're new to StreamYard, you don't realize. It's fine when you're in, and then when the show starts, because you're looking at the chat, saying hi to everyone. And then when the show starts...
I don't think Ramblin Man's ever streamed before.
Yeah, it's got to be he's got a tab open.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I hope he's able to isolate the tab on his end or get some audio, get the audio situated. But yeah, really quick, I know like we have folks who are with us for a short time. So yeah, let's go ahead and oh, hey, Alan. Yeah, Dayzed. Sorry to interrupt you earlier, but yeah, like let's hear a little bit about your love for 80s music and some key movie soundtracks you're going to talk about tonight. Okay,
well, my love for 80s music, I was born in 78, so I was still kind of young during the 80s. Like I wasn't like really big into music when I was younger then. But I always remember going to we had this pizza place, had an arcade and a jukebox, and we would go there and play, and I would love the music. Every time it was always had all the 80s music was there on this jukebox. And as I got older, I started to get really big into punk music, and there was this 80s cover band, or it was like an 80s CD that was all these punk bands were playing 80s music, and I listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember all these songs. And I started to really go back into and really get back into listening to a lot of 80s music, knowing that, I mean, I grew up during it. So yeah, that's really kind of what where I got really started getting into music. But I made some lists here because that's how I operate. But
oh no, I'm not prepared.
I was trying to think. Like honestly, it's really tough for me to really pinpoint my favorite soundtrack, just because they're so good. And I mean, honestly, like if I were forced to pick, it would possibly be Top Gun, just because I really love Kenny Loggins. Yeah, I love Kenny Loggins, but honestly, it's not even my favorite Kenny Loggins song is in that movie. I don't know. Do you guys remember the movie Over the Top?
Yes, I do.
With that one Kenny Loggins song, Meet Me Halfway Across the Sky. Do you remember that? Meet me halfway across the sky. I love that. That's my favorite Kenny Loggins song. So that, or maybe even the Goonies. The Goonies is right up there with me for me too. Like Cindy Lauper and that. Like I love it. Just that really brings me back. So.
Oh, and before we get back to your list, I did want to give quick moment for Gen X and Alan Ramblin Man to introduce themselves and give us an idea of some of their favorite genres from the 80s and soundtracks that they're going to talk about tonight.
Let's see. I first got into music when my grandmother gave me an AM radio, a little battery AM radio, when I first got back to the States. And then as far as music, I started off with disco. I go even further back.
I didn't know we're talking about disco.
I started listening to music very, very young. So they would put my sister and I, when we were like 8 years old, to dance disco songs. We had learned some routines, from Saturday Night Fever, and we would do these routines for our family. But then after that, I started listening to 70s, funk. Then MTV broke out, and I got into a lot of European music, mostly English music, alternative music. So I listen to everything, you know, I really do. And of course I lived the 80s, you know, I mean, if you guys remember Twisted Sister, remember that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so their second song that they did in my high school, right? So, like, you know, we grew up with that. You know, I was you know, Beavis and Butthead with my friends before anything else. So that's how I got into music.
That's awesome. Thank you, Gen X. And yeah, Ramblin Man. Yeah, let's hear a little bit about your relationship with 80s music. You're constantly sharing all this awesome music with us on Twitter, so I want to hear you for the first time talk about it.
Well, I don't even know where to start, really. Parents, yeah. When I was really, really small, my mum and dad were really into music. I can just remember when I was really, really little, they had this huge record player, massive, made of wood. It was just like the biggest piece of furniture in the room. My dad used to listen to Herb Albert a lot and Sergio Mendes and a lot of jazz. So I grew up with that around me. My brother was really into progressive music, like Pink Floyd, Genesis, that sort of stuff. So it's been around me all the time. I rebelled and went punk at about 11. And I worked my way through it after that. I mean, obviously, you know, like Gen X, I lived through it all. I'll be honest, when I was younger, it was mostly about English music, post-punk. I love funk, electro music, you name it. It's across the board. I love all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Deep mythology. I also worked in record stores since the age of 14.
Oh, wow.
So
that's awesome.
from the age of 14 to 40,
oh, man.
I worked in music stores primarily for Mr. Branson, who I know Gen X loves.
Oh, I do.
Some shares.
You know what, guys? And I'm not even joking. Those shares are cheap. I mean, if you want to make money long term, and this is not financial
Oh, wow.
advice, okay? Not financial advice.
There's no 80s NFTs generation.
No.
There's no 80s.
Not yet.
Gen X, it made me laugh. You said getting high with Richard Branson. Richard Branson made me get high for about 30 years, you know. He supported whatever habits I had. So yeah, he's a good dude.
No, like this is amazing. I am loving getting to know y'all like as like, you know, music heads for sure. It's really inspiring, and I'm learning a lot of like new artists to you know, get into too. So yeah, I want to go ahead and hand it off to Gen X, who I want to hear about your favorite movie soundtracks and some choice cuts that you are going to recommend to us from them.
All right. Well, my favorite music soundtrack of all time, and it's basically because my friends and I lived it, right? And it was the Purple Rain soundtrack.
Prince.
Right? Prince. And I remember when that song hit, When Doves Cry, that shit was crazy, right? Because until that point, my friends and I were Beavis and Butthead, you know, we'd be listening to rock and roll and all that stuff, right? And I was a big Van Halen fan. I still am a big Van Halen fan. I have a Van Halen tattoo. But what happened when that song came out, it was popping so hard that girls just completely changed their style in our school. So all the girls that we used to hang out with, right, that were metalheads and so on and so forth, they used to hang out with us. They were Prince fans. So they wanted nothing to do with us for a long period of time, right? Because we were in a different kind of style. So, you know, we went and watched the movie, saw it, and of course I fell in love with Apollonia. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And yeah, I mean, I watched that movie so many times with my friends. It was such an amazing summer, you know, that whole year from, I think it was late 84 to 85. We were just some horny little bastards, and Prince was the right man at the right time for us. You know what I'm saying?
My wife loves Prince.
I love Prince too. I was debating whether or not to wear my Purple Rain shirt, but I wore my Echo and the Bunnymen one for another soundtrack that I'm gonna bring up later. Stuff. But yeah, Gen X, I'm curious. Did you like Under the Cherry Moon?
I loved Under the Cherry Moon. My favorite, there's two songs that I love from that particular album, and that is Sometimes It Snows in April is one of the songs, but probably my favorite song, oh geez, it's so hard. He had so many hits, but I love Mountains. It's just a different song, you know. Just the tempo of it is different. And Boys and Girls, oh my god. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're calling out some deep cuts for sure. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ramblin.
I was going to say we could just do a whole episode on Prince, couldn't we?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we really could though. Honestly, like that's basically like half of the soundtracks that I wrote down. Batman '89, which Max called out, and then Under the Cherry Moon, and obviously Purple Rain. But yeah, cool, awesome. Thank you so much, Gen X. And yeah, let's hand it off to Dayzed. You mentioned Top Gun and Over the Top as some choice soundtracks that you're super into, and Kenny Loggins for sure. But any others out there, including the Goonies?
Here's a good one right here, Footloose.
Oh,
Footloose,
yeah.
You still have the cassette? Oh wow!
Yeah.
Dude, I buy cassettes when I go to yard sales and stuff. I got Ghostbusters here.
Oh wow!
That's another great soundtrack, the Ghostbusters song, which that's like iconic with that movie.
The Last Dragon, somebody mentioned it right now. I need my glasses to read, but yeah.
I saw somebody said Breakfast Club.
Oh yes.
You know, that's a great with Simple Minds at the end. I mean, that's
such a great track.
Yeah.
Generational track for us, for sure.
It really is.
Not one of my favorites, that one from Simple Minds, but there you go. I don't think they even like it that much.
It's so overplayed at this point, you know. But absolutely. it just like it just reminds me of the '80s so much. Just from that movie, from Breakfast Club.
Awesome. Yeah, no, for sure. I think like a lot of like, it's interesting because like Dayzed is calling out a lot of like the super well-known 80s soundtrack.
That's my thing. I mean, it's like I'm into so many different genres of music that like I'm really starting to learn. Like I want to learn more from you guys too. Like I'm trying to delve in a lot too. Like a lot of the stuff I just listened to with 80s is a lot more of just like the popular songs and stuff. But I always like I'll find a band and then I'll just start going into their discography, and I love like everything like Yazoo is one that I've been getting into.
Oh, I love Yazoo.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then Erasure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like when I made that. Like when I made that 80s thing, whatever, I posted up on YouTube, and that's when I was like going through and just like finding all these songs that I like. But like I never really like always knew like the names of these bands, you know. Like I said, I mean, I was like Gen X Gamers talking about like, you know, he's in high school and he's 84. I was 6 in 1984.
Whoa.
You know, really? So it's like
okay,
so I've had to like come back and learn a lot more. So that's where I'm at.
No, I'm pretty much like relatively in the same boat too. So all of these like deep cuts that even Gen X called out, like from Under the Cherry Moon, like yeah, I have to like go back and visit those for sure. But yeah, I wanted to go ahead and jump to Ramblin Man. Yeah, what are some of your favorite 80s soundtracks for you?
It took so long to narrow it down. It really, really did. You got things like Queen. I mean, they did Flash Gordon, Highlander. Great movie, great soundtrack. I had Purple Rain, obviously. Absolute Beginners, if you remember that film with David Bowie. I'm a massive David Bowie fan.
Me too.
So I love Absolute Beginners. I think track that stands out for me from an 80s movie is probably Axel F by from Beverly Hills Cop. Because not only did that hit big, it hit big in clubs. And I was just starting to go to sort of underground clubs then.
Oh wow.
So there was a remix by a group of DJs called the Latin Rascals, who became quite big in the 80s. So that was a standout track for me because I used to hear that everywhere, that particular mix as well. And then it came down to two, really. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's a good one.
because I mean, what can you say about that movie? That's probably one of the greatest 80s, one of the greatest comedies of all time, I think.
Yeah.
And the music just sat so perfectly.
Mhm.
It just sort of hit all the right points. Sometimes soundtracks, they'll throw a song in and you'll love the song, but you know. But that was a great album. That had sort of Zig Sputnik, who were huge over here. I don't know how they hit in America.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I mean, they were really controversial. I don't know why. They dressed quite sort of punk. Actually, one of the members of the band was from Generation X
Yes.
with Billy Idol. So you had Tony James. It had Oh Yeah by Yellow, which is a great song. If you don't know that one, check that out. Had a cover of the Smiths, not the Smiths. Had Please Please by Dream Academy. Had Zap on it. If anybody's heard of Zap, I'm sure Gen X has. He likes his funk.
Yes.
Which was
Zap
Roger
and
Troutman. Roger Troutman from Zap. He did a lot of work with Paisley Park, funk. Did the vocoder parts in California Love.
Banshees, yeah.
California Love, if you remember California Love with Tupac, he did all the vocoder work on that. So that's a great movie, but I think I called mine out right at the beginning when we started talking about it. That's Pretty in Pink. For me.
All the John Hughes
yes.
movies have all the John Hughes.
John
movies
Hughes just had
soundtrack.
incredible music throughout.
Yeah.
But he used to commission a lot of the work for it as well.
Did he?
We just got
Psychedelic Furs came out of that.
wow. We can check off, if you like, who I've seen. Because I think I've seen pretty much everybody live on the list, if you know what I mean. But it's got OMD, it's got the Furs, it's got the Smiths. Again, Please Please Me. It's got Echo and the Bunnymen. Bring on the Dancing Horses. One for you, Rhea. It's got Time and Morris Day, which goes back to your Prince era. And obviously it's got my real favourites, New Order on it, which is just my ultimate top.
New Order, yes.
Okay. The song they used, they commissioned for it, but it got about 5 seconds airplay because John Hughes absolutely hated it. But they did use 2 other tracks that not on the soundtrack, but they were in the movie. So for me, Pretty in Pink wins.
I've been delving more into New Order, man. I dig them. They're good.
I love New Order so much.
Yeah.
It's weird because like I discovered Joy Division through New Order because as a kid I'd be in the car and then an old school station would be playing Blue Monday by New Order, and then as I got more into like the internet and like actually researching bands, I'm like, oh, this band was formed from another band called Joy Division. So then I like started to learn more about Joy Division, and I actually prefer Joy Division more than New Order, but I still love them both. They're 2 halves of the same coin, basically. They're polar opposites, in my opinion.
You know
The
what?
internet,
They kind of are, yeah.
The internet,
Sorry.
like the internet has been great, like for coming back, like learning about 80s music and stuff. You know, like I remember people just making their playlists and stuff, and then you go back and you start listening to all these 80s music, like from like a decade ago, like you know, like on Napster, LimeWire, and stuff, and then you're just going through and finding all this stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much great music out there.
You know, the other thing is that when you hear this music and it takes you back and what you were doing at that time, right? You think of like, for example, New Order, right? A lot of the music is very upbeat, very cheery. At that time, you know, as a younger man abusing my body with a lot of my friends, you know, taking every chemical in the planet. And you know, and then people,
no comment, Gen X, no comment.
Yeah. And but some great memories, you know, they were banging. It was always at the club, you know, we would play them. I remember that we would, at that time, Johnny Depp, was out there. I think it was 21 Jump Street. So I think it was around that time. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure because we all wanted to look like Depeche Mode.
Right. Oh, Depeche Mode's great.
Yeah. And man, and just out in the clubs and just having great times. And it was amazing music.
But that's what amazes me. Everybody thinks now that, you know, fandom and, you know, this didn't exist back in the day. Back in the day, if you were a New Order fan, you weren't a Depeche Mode fan. It was as simple as that.
Is that how that is?
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
I mean,
know that.
if you like certain bands, well, certainly in England, if you like certain bands, you automatically couldn't become fans of another band. It's as simple as that, right? So I got into Depeche Mode way too late. You know, they were huge in America. They were big in England.
Yeah, they were.
But they were much bigger in the States.
I would say Depeche Mode was bigger in America than New Order.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
Oh, so it was kind of like how Morrissey took off like outside of like the UK, like for a solo career, or not?
I'm wearing my Lost Smiths.
Oh, Gen X has that too, like in a T-shirt, right?
He rocked it for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
He pointed it out, and I ordered it, and it's never off me. But I always knew that the Smiths had that kind of following over there with you guys, but I couldn't get my head. For me, they're so English.
Well, you know what it is.
I struggle to think anybody outside of England could even get a head around.
You know, I can tell you what the draw is for us. You know, growing up, number one, it's not something that we would say. So, in Los Angeles, when they came out, gang culture was really big, right? So we were in East Los Angeles, and we didn't fit in. That was the draw, right? Because here you have this younger generation that's into MTV. I didn't want to gangbang. I didn't want to shoot anybody. I didn't want to shake my head. I didn't want to do any of those things. I wanted to do what the people on MTV were doing, right? And a lot of my friends were the same way. But because of that, we were kind of ostracized from a lot of our neighborhoods. So we would have to leave in order to have fun. So that was, when you heard the Smiths, you had the combination of the crooner, right, which is very melodic, very, very Latin, and a lot of songs of not belonging and being ostracized, you know. So we would, because we didn't feel that we belonged anywhere. We weren't exactly accepted as Americans, and we weren't from whatever country we're coming from, right? Because believe it or not, Hispanics can be pretty racist too, especially to their own kind. They'll say, you're not really from where we're from, basically. We get that a lot, even though people don't realize that. That's an experience we had, and that was a huge draw for people loving the Smiths in the Hispanic community.
Yeah, Tommy Tommy just said he's an amazing guitar. He totally is.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially like his work outside of the Smiths too. Like I think I forget the name of the group that he made with the lead singer of New Order, but y'all must know Electronic. Yes, Electronic. Yes, and they even made a cut with the Pet Shop Boys as well. So yeah,
it was originally supposed to be a super group of all three of them. So it started off that way, and then it generated into something else. But he's done some amazing stuff with other. He's worked with Talking Heads. He did an album with Talking Heads, which is another big band over here. If you haven't heard of them, in the 80s, Infected, the album, he was on that. He's Modest Mouse recently. He's honestly, his back catalog's absolutely amazing. It really is amazing.
It's bananas. But yeah, sorry, I didn't want to forget about you, Max. I do want to hear about some of your favorite 80s movie soundtracks and some choice cuts you want to call out.
I'm out of my element. I love this stuff. You guys give great recommendations. I got more into the 80s stuff in the 90s, watching the VHSs of Ferris Bueller's Days Off and all that. And I really enjoy the music. I got into it later. I don't have as deep cuts as you guys do. I know, I like the Cure, Depeche Mode, U2.
Oh yeah,
I like that. But I'm more. I don't go as deep as you guys do. I do know Joy Division and New Order and all that, and the Smiths. I do know that, but I haven't really got deep. I appreciate them, but I haven't got as deep as you guys. I just keep thinking, oh man. I shouldn't mention the name because we're having but Tommy would be great on this panel. We'd all get along if we were talking about 80s music. He would be so much fun to talk about. I'm serious. He loves music. It would be
right. Well, Max, it's like this is one thing that I think has brought more people together.
Yeah,
this
it will break
fandom.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna bring up that Dayzed has got a particular fan group at the moment, shall I say. We've talked about it on Discord, haven't we? You know, this group of people. Now, one of those guys on there, is it Vaughan George? I think he does videos, but he's always commenting on this hybrid of the Amico talk that some of you might not even be aware of. And he started making 80s mixtapes.
Oh, okay.
Out of the blue, out of nowhere, and they are absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's really weird because I don't like the place that he's coming from at all. He hasn't been nice to my friend Dayzed, but he's got impeccable taste in music. So we've probably got more in common than we have, you know, and that's what's amazing about it. I mean, I could probably have a really good conversation. Huh?
I take no offense from anyone.
No, I know you don't.
You know.
But I've even said to him, I do not like what you're saying, but I love your taste in music.
Right.
Music is the great equalizer.
It is. And I'm sure if we all sat down in a room with him, we'd forget about the Amico and we'd just chat about music and films all night, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I 100% agree. I don't think Tommy'd come on, but you could ask him.
You know what?
No, that would be funny because he'd be talking to the music forever. I've been in backstages before. He just keeps talking. I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail it, but I really appreciate all your recommendations. I need to get back into music too. I will say that the movie soundtracks where I keep, you know, the movies angle is where I really get into the 80s music. Is soundtracks aren't like they used to be. There's like James Gunn is the one that does keeping the soundtrack type of thing alive, and of course when you know there's a great you know, Christopher Nolan film, you enjoy the soundtrack for that is, but not like, but to have like great a mix of stuff, I think, you know, James Gunn's the only one that's doing it now. We don't get big soundtracks after soundtrack after soundtrack like we did in the 80s and 90s. So I miss that.
There was something about like the 80s music and 80s movies just go so well together. Mm-hmm. Like there was just something about that style that I don't think it can be duplicated. I mean, you get some of it in the 90s, but I watch movies today and I don't feel that same feeling like where I just really like when you think of these movies, it's just so like Top Gun, you know, like Danger Zone, you just think of that, like you instantly hit that. I can't really think a whole lot when I watch movies today, soundtracks that really stay with me. I'm sure there are, but not really anything nothing like it was in the 80s, you know?
Well, they almost used to be an event.
Yeah,
I mean, you think of the Bond. I know the Bond movies aren't 80s, but certainly in this country, you knew the Bond. You knew the main theme tune from the Bond movie would be number one.
I mean,
but you know, you have Paul McCartney. You have also, I mean, you know, lots of people did tracks for Bond, but it was a big thing. You knew that was going to be a number one single.
Were there any soundtracks with Michael Jackson? You guys remember any? I was trying to think.
He released a movie in the 80s, right? Moonwalker.
Well, didn't he do?
I think that was 90s.
Yeah, he did Moonwalker, and he did Ben, right? Didn't he do that for?
I was going to say Ben is from the soundtrack.
Yeah.
About a rap.
You know what I was going to say? You know what I was going to say that you mentioned that, you know, that gentleman, he's making the mixtapes, but he's, you know, different. That's really the same for a lot of people, right? So if when I go to karaoke with my friends, right, they pretty much.
I'd love to see that. I love karaoke. I'd love to see that.
It's so much fun.
So, you know, so in my track list, there's some things that you wouldn't think that you know I would enjoy or my friends would enjoy, but I'll give you an example of things that are in our tracks list that people just by looking at us wouldn't think they would be on there. Boy George is a big one.
Oh yeah.
Adam Ant, Prince. I mean, The Cure. I mean, that's all on the track list. You know, and I like the Killers. Like I do the Killers sometimes and stuff like that. But I try to put a little bit of everything. But my go-to, the way I start off. Well, I used to when I was a younger man. Start off a lot of my dates was dancing with myself with Billy Idol. That was always my go-to. You know, just to get the mood started.
My wife cut her hair like Billy Idol when she was younger. She was obsessed with him.
Also was like a low key like Billie Jean style, like I guess like a women's version of that cut, right? Like
Well, it was
y'all know
just
the Legend of
short.
Billie
It was
Jean.
like really short. You know,
Should've
like
got
I've seen
Da-
pictures of her. It's hilarious.
Should got Dayzed wife on here too.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
totally.
I mean,
She
Billy
doesn't want
Idol,
any
that-
part
she
of
sounds
my
pretty
nonsense.
cool. She
She is
pretty
cool, but she doesn't want any part of my
Oh, okay.
nonsense here.
I get that. My wife
I mean,
either. I get that.
She's done a few things in my videos like that I used to make. Like she would entertain me a little bit and just I need you to act this part, please. Like do this, and she would amuse me and do it.
Oh, and I did want to call out some movie soundtracks that we didn't get a chance to cover already that I personally really like. First one being Labyrinth. I love Labyrinth.
I was going to say that when he was talking about David Bowie.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm glad I wrote that one down. So like with Labyrinth, I didn't really start to, like I mentioned before, I didn't really start discovering older media until I got my hands on the internet, which is like in the 2000s, like mid 2000s into like, you know, the to the 2010s, like early 2010s is when like that was like really high, like, you know, discovery period for me and watching and consuming media from past eras. And Labyrinth, to Dave's point about like, you know, movies and soundtracks don't hit like, you know, the way that they used to. And for me, like as someone who didn't even grow up with that media, I'm like compelled to believe like, yeah, no, why is older media better than, you know, what we're forced to consume now, or like what's being marketed to us now. And the way that I, you know, viewed Labyrinth was like there was no CGI. It was all practical effects. It was all, you know, just, you know, character acting at its finest, as campy as can be, just like, and the music and the soundtrack in and of itself, despite it, obviously it's going to be great because there's Bowie on it, but like the themes and like almost every song on it was a slap. So yeah, no, just like as I guess I'm an outsider looking in on, you know, this content that a lot of y'all grew up with, like even I can like, you know, say like, yeah, it's miles away from like, you know, what is you know being consumed these days, like in the mass market. So yeah, I just wanted to call that out.
Speaking
Bowie
of Labyrinth,
was so transcendent, though. You know, Bowie. I remember the first song that I heard from David Bowie was "Fame," and I listened to that song.
Yeah, great.
In El Salvador, of all places. When I was about, I want to say 8 years old, right? And I never saw him in person. I didn't know who he was. I didn't see him in person until I was here, and I saw the person he was. And I'm trying to remember the video on MTV, but it's the one he's dressed as a clown. You know, I can't remember the name of this. Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah.
Ashes to Ashes. That's a song. That's the first time I saw him, and I was just like in awe, right, of his work from there on. And he was just a complete artist in every sense of the word. He was a singer, he was an actor, he was an artist, and man, he went too soon, you know. But that guy's gonna be immortal. Yeah.
And when speaking of Labyrinth, first of all, that movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Like I was that scene with the hands and stuff, and they're like grabbing at him, but with Jennifer Connelly in it, like this movie came out in '91, but Career Opportunities with that Flock of Seagulls song.
Oh, it was shot entirely in a Target, right?
Yeah. Not Iran. It was the other. It was a Space Age Love Song.
Space Age Love Song. That's right. I was in love with her as soon as I saw her.
Oh my god, dude! I'm obsessed.
She's immaculate. Like
I've been into brunettes my entire life because of her. Like I mean, I've been, you know,
But Flock of Seagulls, they did not do anything. They're English, right? Nothing. Iran was literally the only single that made it over here. They were much bigger in America.
It was that haircut, dude.
They were huge.
Did it for us.
I know. I still don't get it. I mean, I quite like them.
It's weird how that is. You know? Like I know there's been like groups from here, you know, that are bigger and over there. You know, it's kind of weird how that is. You know, it doesn't like it just doesn't gel with people as much. You know, like certain groups.
Yeah,
it's interesting how that works.
Another soundtrack that comes to mind that I don't think we touched on yet
Goonies,
is
definitely. Yeah.
oh yeah, Goonies for sure. But also The Wall from Pink Floyd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The Wall,
so,
yes.
yeah, that one, like I've noticed that it's gotten a little bit more popular with like modern audiences, and I was definitely on that wave for sure. Like I'm an animation major in college, like about 10 years ago, and that was one of the films that we actually watched during a class outing. And for folks who have watched it, it is pretty significant in terms of like animation history and like
It's incredible.
the themes that it explores, like, you know, isolation, commercialization, and mental health. Like it was one of the first like sort of like animated films and like music films or films in general that really touched on that that topic for sure. Especially
I remember being out of my mind and watching The Wall in college, and it just blew me
It's
away.
the only way to watch it, Dave.
Yeah.
I watched it stone cold sober, and I was spooked as fuck. Like, you know, watching it, I was just like, what am I looking at? It was like some really like like, you know, disturbing images, not like graphic, violent, or, you know, sexual or anything like that.
No.
Just
creepy.
just really creepy, yeah, and disturbing. But I think that was the point.
It goes really well with the music.
Yes,
do you
the
guys,
music too.
I was going to say, do you guys remember? Well, I'm speaking to the older gentleman here. We made our own movie back in the 80s with Pink Floyd, with Darker Side of the Moon and The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, you know, back when Gen X was in his Beavis and Butthead days, we would, you know, put on the movie and the soundtrack after the third chime, I think, if I can remember right, and then we just spark one up and watch the movie as high as we just smoked and smoked and smoked, and that was the thing to do before MTV.
It's incredible how well it goes with it. I think it was right after the second lion roar, right before the third one.
Yeah, something like that. I remember that. Yeah.
But it goes so perfectly with it, like the part where, I'm trying to think. What it was, something with like where it says black, 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 and the smoke comes out, and the witch is there, and it says and blue. Like
especially when you're baked, it's even creepy.
And then when the Munchkins come out and it's playing, what is that song? Is it Cash?
Yes, money.
I feel
money. Yeah, not.
I feel left out. I haven't experienced the 80s.
Never done that
under the influence.
In that either.
I'm like, well, that's another level. That's another level.
Dark side of the rainbow. Isn't that what they call it? Dark side of the rainbow or something?
80s under the influence.
Well, some would say if you remember the 80s, you weren't actually there, right?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
I don't remember the 90s. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that.
Cool, awesome. And I did also want to quickly touch on Videodrome. I've only watched it once, but I do remember it's another one of those like sort of like isolation and critiques on commercialization and things like that, and consumerism in the 80s, and like dystopianism and stuff like that. I do remember Bauhaus was in the beginning of the movie as well, one of my all-time favorite bands too. And I just wanted to kind of shout that one out too. Another one that comes to mind is Lost Boys, Dayzed. You shouted them out earlier. So Lost Boys, obviously, like the Echo and the Bunny Men are in that. They do a cover of The Doors' "People Are Strange" in the near the beginning of the movie, which is really good. And it makes sense because they're kind of like a neo psychedelic
I've never heard that cover.
Type of band, similar to Psychedelic Furs, but a little bit different because they're more post punk. But yeah, Lost Boys soundtrack for sure. I forget if this is the name of the song, but the guy with the saxophone playing, who's like totally lip syncing on stage during the movie, Still Believe. Like I can still, like, that's such a meme these days, like for people who haven't even seen the movie. But yeah, that scene is so iconic to me for sure.
And the music set the tone for that whole movie, I think.
Another
strip the soundtrack away, and I don't think it's
another iconic song with a movie was St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh,
you guys ever seen that?
Yeah.
That was like what the kind of like the sequel to Breakfast Club, but not really. Like it was some of the same people.
Yeah, the Brat Pack they used to
call it.
Yeah, what I remember about those movies is, you know, East LA, that there was this dairy that was owned by this Korean family, right? And they were famous for selling you beer, right? I mean, you're 15, you know.
Of course.
And there was just a code like that. You know, they had this thing where you had to be in the club, right? So this is, and I was working since I was very young, right? So we would go in there, and the lady would ask you, "How old are you?" And you pull out a 50 and go 50, and then you would have to pop your trunk, and then her husband would come in and drop a case, and you would have to pay $50 for a case of beer back then. It was a lot of money, you know.
But worth it.
I wouldn't do that now.
Yeah. But, you know, and then we'd get the case of beer, and then we'd go. And I had a Volkswagen bus, you know, which was great. It had a bed. I had a refrigerator in there. It was a great time watching those movies.
I had a fake ID from Rhode Island that pretty much worked everywhere I had.
Well,
it only got denied one time, and it was great.
I don't remember drinking to that movie, but I do remember other things because it's got Demi Moore in it. So that's. I might have been preoccupied doing something else. To be fair. My all-time number one, unfortunately, or fortunately,
Demi Moore.
whichever way you look at it. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, she's beautiful.
don't get me started. But
Okay.
also, we've talked about a lot of soundtracks that are song-based, but we haven't really touched on anything that, you know, is actually soundtrack-based.
Well, yeah,
and the one for me is, and in general, is some amazing stuff. Now, the 70s were actually, the end of the 70s, for me, were probably a little bit better for this than the 80s, because you had Giorgio Moroder, Tangerine Dream, if you've ever heard of them. I put something up on Twitter about a movie called The Sorcerer, which is utterly forgotten American classic film. I just go and watch it. If you can watch it in a cinema, even better.
I was thinking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And the soundtrack for that is just unbelievably good. And it's just Tangerine Dream all the way through. They did Risky Business. They did a lot of stuff in the 80s as well. But for me, John Carpenter, so Escape from New York. For me. I mean, if you're talking one of his films, Assault on Precinct 13, it's not in the 80s. But, however, it almost started a generation of music, electro music. Listen to it. It's just ahead of its time.
Tangerine Dreams?
Tangerine Dream. Yeah.
I love.
So they did a load of 80s films, but
I try to go back and listen to like what started, like, because I was huge into electronic music in the 90s, like going to clubs and everything. So I go back and try to like research like what started that. Like I love like going back and looking at
Kraftwerk. That's what you need to worry about.
I've listened to him. Yeah,
they started everything,
dude. I watched.
They were so basic. They had to make their own instruments.
I watched.
They didn't exist.
I watched this one video. I'm pretty sure it was Kraftwerk, where they're like, it was like one of the earlier shows he had, and like people were just kind of like standing around, and then they slowly kind of started to get into it. It was like, and it was really cool just watching them just accept this music.
100%. Yeah, I think I know the video you mean. That was even before they went really electronic, because they weren't electronic to start with. They were
no, but it was just like
crowd rock is a completely
drums. Somebody was playing drums, and he had like some instrument like. It was weird.
I know really exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I love that video. That video.
But they had to invent their own. I mean, what band had to invent their own musical instruments?
Yeah,
to make the music that they want to make. So it all, for me anyway, it all started with Kraftwerk, and I got into Kraftwerk really, really early. But Tangerine Dream, and not quite so that they're all synth based. It's all synth.
Mm-hmm. I love synth. Yeah.
So you'd love it. It's a bit more hippie-ish than dance music, but you know, if you go back to John Carpenter, I mean, film after film after film that he was knocking it out with Alan Howarth, who he co-wrote all that stuff with, but. Yeah, they live. I think that was 90s. Loads of stuff.
Did John Carpenter do The Thing Was that?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
he did the movie, but Ennio Morricone, I think, did the music,
Right.
if I remember rightly.
So
Somebody look
you're
that up.
He plays music now, right? Doesn't he
He
have his own
he
band?
still tours.
Yeah, he's good.
He toured over here with his band, and I luckily enough got a ticket.
Callie wants to talk about her favorite soundtracks.
Well, I'm glad I've got my headphones on because Stan would probably be going mental right now hearing Callie.
So y'all were talking about music composers for films, and I was able to quickly look up some that I'm actually familiar with that I can talk about. Giorgio Moroder. Sorry about that. I'm mispronouncing his name clearly. But yeah, I am familiar with him as like an electronic music producer, and apparently he also did the soundtracks for Scarface and I believe Untouchables too. I could be wrong, but both of those really great mob movies for sure, and soundtracks just very like atmospheric and very just like captures the era of like, you know, that period of time when they were like making those films, even though like it's like Untouchables is clearly like a period piece, but even though it has like more modern electronic music as like you know, like kind of like the background of it, it still worked. Like it wasn't like jarring, and it didn't like inhibit me from like, you know, being immersed into that era. So I just wanted to kind of call him out.
He's
as
great.
composer.
He's so versatile. Go back and watch a film called Midnight Express. Late 70s, not 80s, but late 70s. Midnight Express.
One of
and it's amazing. It's so ahead of its time. There's a like a 15-minute mix of one track called The Chase, which is his work before he started working with Diana Ross and I Feel Love and all that kind of stuff. Amazing. Sorry, Gen X.
Yeah, and the one that I wanted to mention that I had forgotten, and it was very influential for us in high school, was Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes,
Right? So
that's a great movie.
Everybody wanted to be Spicoli.
Mm-hmm.
When we would dress up, we would buy OP shorts, and so I had this friend David, okay, and David sounded like he was from the Valley, okay, and I am 5'4", okay, that's my height, and David was the short one, okay, and let me tell you, and we both had long hair, right? We had earrings, but David looked like you know, like his mom was from the Yucatan part of Mexico, so he had that look to him, but he would just sound like he was Spicoli, right?
Yeah.
So we would get out to Santa Monica, and he didn't speak Spanish, like he knew like taco and stuff like that. People would talk to him in Spanish, and they would get mad. He'd be like, "Bro, what?
What's up, dude? What?"
Yeah. Man, and we had such great times. You know, we would have to ride the bus from East Los Angeles to Santa Monica early on Saturday, so we go out there surfing, right? Because there's nothing we can do in our neighborhood, right? We couldn't hang out with anybody because nobody liked Van Halen or nobody liked AC/DC or anybody like that. But yeah, I mean, we would watch that movie over and over again and try to get just as high as Spicoli.
Oh yeah.
We can see where your 80s went, Gen X.
You guys are all a bad influence on me. I want to grab 80s movies, grab some substances, have a good weekend.
Max, you don't have to.
Dark
I'm just kidding. But I don't feel like I've experienced it. I don't think I've experienced the 80s like you find.
I don't think anybody's experienced the 80s quite like Gen X.
I know. So, great recommendations, everyone.
I got one more recommendation just quickly before. I know you wanted to wrap this up. The best 80s soundtrack for me was actually made in the 2000s. It's completely 80s inspired. You probably have never heard of the film. It's a film called The Business.
Mm-mm.
So it's a British-made film, obviously, and it's about, well, Gen X will be all over this. It's about the cocaine trade in the 80s in Spain, in offshore Spain. A lot of British criminals get involved in. I mean, if I just read through the list, right? I've made a list of it. Duran Duran, Planet Earth, Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Man.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Welcome to the Pleasure Zone. Rick James, bit of funk for you. Ghetto Life. The Cult, Simple Minds, Buggles, Flock of Seagull, David Bowie, Talk, who were an amazing band in the 80s.
Man.
OMD, Adam and the Ants. I could go on. I mean, it's
geez.
all in the movie, right?
It's called The Business?
The Business. And that would appeal to you, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Generation X is.
He's
gonna
all
be
about the
watching
business.
Right now.
Hey, I'm reformed now. That was a long time ago, dude. I don't powder my nose anymore or
No.
anything like that. That's back
Honestly,
in the past.
it's almost like a
We're
greatest hits from the
respectable
80s.
gentlemen now.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Napoleon Dynamite has a good soundtrack
Yeah.
too, with some good 80s
It
music. in it.
does. That is such a wild
Yeah.
call out. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
another modern movie with an 80s inspired soundtrack. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been really, really enjoyable.
Yes.
I have to get going here. I have to go to dinner, but thank you for inviting me. This was amazingly fun.
It was
We
fun.
do stuff like this more. It was really, really great hanging out with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gen X. And y'all check out Generation X Gamer on Twitter and YouTube. His links are down in the description. So yeah, thank you again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right. Have a great night, guys.
Take care.
All right, take care.
Take care.
All right. And and we're going to sign off with Ramblin Man. Where can we find you at? And what are you working on?
Oh,
currently?
you don't want to find me on YouTube. I don't even make shouts out on my own channel. I can't even remember the last time I asked anybody to subscribe or watch. So
Yeah.
on it, probably better off if you try and find me on Twitter, the Ramblin Man 1, because I talk about lots of different stuff. There's movies on there, lots of music, videos of my granddaughter if you're really interested in that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm the Ramblin Man on YouTube if you really want to, but I wouldn't recommend it.
I recommend it.
I recommend
You're
it.
great, Ramblin' Man.
You're great.
Your stuff is awesome, dude. Like going to
Well,
the duck ponds and
no.
the strolls, man. I love it. Especially right now. It's so cold where I'm at. There's snow everywhere. I can't get outside much.
Well, it's 4:00 in the morning here and it's freezing, but there you
Oh,
go.
geez. Well,
Oh,
I'm a Southern boy, dude. I can't handle the cold.
But if you watch me on Twitter, I have got a major project coming up, which is a million miles away from anything we're talking about. I've written a book,
Ooh.
bit like Cyrus, but mine's a bit longer. No dig there, Cyrus. And I've got a series of podcasts that I'm trying to get together, 12 parts
Wow.
podcast series.
Look at
If
you.
you are on my Twitter, man alive, I'm getting a load of help. Don't worry about that.
That's
You've
awesome.
seen my videos. I can't even edit at the minute, let alone anything else. But if you're interested, I will be releasing stuff on Twitter a little bit over the next couple of months. I've already put one up, but you'll have to go back a couple of weeks. It's got a lot to do with the craze, the mafia, a series of serial killings in England back in the 50s and 60s.
Wow.
And
Wow.
how my family play a part in all of that.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Careful.
Ooh, spicy.
It is. So, yeah, I'm trying to get all that off the ground at the moment. So stay tuned. Probably better to do that than watch my rambly dog walks at the moment. But there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And I believe this is the first time you've been on stream for any
Yeah.
channel yet.
I
Yeah.
know, I'm jealous.
I'm honored
You
to
brought us all
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, it's funny because you brought us together, really, Rare.
I would have
think
talked
we're-
to these
we're
two if
more-
it wasn't for Rhea. No, I'm just kidding. I probably would. I
You
maybe
wouldn't.
eventually.
You wouldn't have done.
Rhea was the go-between for
She's
us,
the glue
man,
that
with
holds
me
us
and
together,
Ramblin'.
yeah.
I'm the one who tries to build the goodwill between,
I'm glad you did.
Well, if you
between
remember
everyone.
rightly, it started off very, very poorly.
Very poorly.
I
had-
made
I
a
had to
video
jump
about
in.
Max.
I had to jump into Max's comments because I
don't know.
don't pick on Ramblin' Man.
When you see when I see a video about me, I get excited and I'm like, "Smad Max, I gotta watch this."
I
Yeah.
do too, man. I love videos about me.
But yeah, thank you so much, Alan, for being here and being on
No
my
worries.
channel for the first time on stream. I really do appreciate it, and I hope we can
enjoyed.
work together again really soon on other fun discussion streams.
I'm gonna
Now
steal
I've learned not
my
to
channel.
echo.
Oh yeah, no, I'm glad
That was
it was
hilarious.
figured out. But yeah, no worries there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go to Dayzed. What are you working on currently, and where can we find you at?
Well, I don't have a whole much of an online presence. I made a Twitter account this week, so
You did.
You want to
can
delete
check
it next week after you do a week of Twitter.
I know, I've already been blocked by a couple people, so it's all good.
No, already.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm spicy, Ramblin Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got my channel. I mean, you can go check out my channel. I don't know. My channel is kind of like, I don't have plans. It's just kind of like when I come home from work, I'm like, I think I might shoot a video. I am going to do a video. Me and my wife went antiquing last weekend, and I always try to film when I go out and do that because I have, as you can see behind me, I have quite a problem. I have I'm a collector, so I got a video coming out.
I was hoping you were going to come from the creepy room days this week, yeah.
I need to do a house tour because you guys are like seeing little bits of my house, and I know it looks crazy, like my wife's room, yeah, with the doll heads, and there's like a whole other section that you haven't seen. It looks literally like out of a horror movie.
I'm all in.
She's got like a jar. She's got like a jar that's filled with like doll parts. Like it's the weirdest thing, and she's just like, she's nuts. But I have more of a plan to Ramblin. Maybe but it sounds like Ramblin's got some real plans here. But
I'm trying.
Yeah. So no, check out my channel if you want. Don't, it's all good.
And go back into your channel as well. Yeah, I mean, go back.
We can't wait for the hammock to return, and that way it'll be all warmer too when that.
But you've done so much before you even got into the Amigo.
I like to.
I've left you some messages on there. You never get back to me. I'll get back to 3-year-old videos.
I've been trying to go through YouTube Studio and check some of the, because I miss them all the time. Like now, like I'm like finally like learning how to be.
You did an amazing mixtape about 2 years ago, didn't you?
Oh wow!
He started. Bam! He went straight in with.
Don't go through my back catalog, please.
He went straight in with you. He went in hard with my favorite band, with my favorite song, and I'm just like, I knew we'd be friends.
I need to go back and make some more videos like that, because that's like, I mean, I love doing that. Like I like just making funny skits, and I've been doing that my whole life. I mean, me and my friends used to get my parents' camcorder out, and we would just make little videos in our backyard, and like I've always been like that. So it's just that's what you'll find at my channel.
Awesome. And that's Dayzed Gaming. And like I said, Ramblin and Dayzed and Max all have their links in the description below the video. And last but not least, we're going to be going to Mad Max. I think I'm pointing at him.
Oh,
that way.
Yes, this way. All right.
I love everything. I love movies, music, gaming. Not so much. I haven't been really talking about the Miko, but I do have a stream. I have a stream.
You need to get back into it, Max. Yeah.
I've seen what's been going on. No offense to you guys. Like, yeah, you guys are fine, but I don't know if I want to get back in. I honestly don't. I enjoy all the friendships I've made from it, but there's better things. Actually, to me, I'm not. I understand if you have something to say about it, definitely say it. For me personally, there's not much more for me to say right now until something happens, until we get some new info. But I'm enjoying other things in life. I've actually, I don't want to be negative towards it, but I will say I've had to distance myself from it so I don't get depressed about it, because I do want it to come out. There's not a lot of info there. So I've moved on to other things like current gen gaming, other things coming out, because I want to actually enjoy things instead of wanting something that's, I don't know. But I enjoy talking about entertainment, and I enjoy collaborating with great content creators like all of you on the panel. Ramblin Man leaves me great, insightful comments. He's really helped me out. Like, it's also a great perspective of someone that's not really that's a friend, but it's not really has little biases to tell me how it is. He's like, okay, so I'm like, okay, I like that. You give really insightful stuff. And Dayzed Gaming, I got to get you on the stream too. Talk about, I don't know, have you joined movies and streaming lately or anything, or just into any other?
The last movie I went and saw was the new Spider-Man movie, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, it
was great.
So there's a lot to talk about there, but yeah, I appreciate being with all of you. Sorry I didn't add as much to the conversation today, but I was intrigued by all your recommendations. You could definitely go back and watch this stream and go back and check out all the great recommendations in the stream. So I might do that.
Oh yeah, Ramblin and GXG for sure. Y'all were just dropping
y'all were
major
great.
knowledge bombs for sure. And I'm gonna go back and rewatch this to go back and look at them up for sure.
Y'all carried us.
Yeah, you did. But yeah, cool, awesome. But yeah, thank y'all again. I know it's like 4 a.m. for Ramblin', so I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream now. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm gonna bid farewell to y'all in the backstage, and I'll go ahead and end the broadcast now. All right, take care, y'all. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.